Donald Trump went over a cliff last night in an authoritarian nightmare gone wrong, as usual, meant to be a simple, softball, straightforward interview with friendly interviewer Laura Ingraham on Fox News, and Trump simply cannot control himself. The question from Laura Ingraham: would you defy a court order? And of course, the answer is yes. We know that the Trump administration has. When the court said, turn those planes around, you can't deport these people back to El Salvador. They haven't had due process. They haven't, the legal justification being used, the Alien Enemies Act doesn't apply. We haven't declared war. None of this makes sense. The Trump administration just kept on flying to El Salvador. Trump then demanded that judges ruling against him on this issue be impeached. So, of course, the answer is yes, I would defy a court order. Well, here is Trump saying, well, when you've got bad judges, this is an authoritarian nightmare.
Do you say to that? Are there circumstances where you would defy a court order?
Well, I think that, number one, nobody's been through more courts than I have. I think nobody knows the courts any better than I have. I would say the chief judge does, but nobody knows them better than I have. And what they've done to me, I've had the worst judges. I've had crooked judges. I have judges that valued Mar-a-Lago at $18 million because that benefited his case, because he wanted to see me convicted of something.
Remember that that's a lie. This is about the difference between the market value of a property and the assessed value for tax purposes.
I have judges that had relatives making millions and millions of dollars on the election, ruling on the election.
But going forward,
I had judges
would
that
you
were
defy
so
a court
corrupt.
order? Because that we all know
No,
that, and that was outrageous.
I never did defy a court order.
And you wouldn't in the future.
No, you can't do that. However, we have bad judges. We have very
And who decides if the judge is bad enough that Trump gets to say, I'm not defying a court order? You know, the way that they often get around this is they go, well, no, I would never defy any legal court order. But if a bad judge issues an order that we deem to be invalid, that's a different story, but we're not defying a valid court order.
They're judges, and these are judges that shouldn't be allowed. I think at a certain point you have to start looking at what do you do when you have a rogue judge.
Right.
The judge that we're talking about, you look at his other rulings, rulings unrelated, but having to do with me, he's a lunatic.
There you go. There you go. Folks, I don't know how else to say it, but this is the authoritarian nightmare that we were afraid of. Would you defy a court order? I didn't, and I wouldn't, but there's bad judges. And in that case, what do you expect me to do? Of course, I'm not going to do what they say. You wouldn't follow an illegal order if given to you by a superior. And similarly, we wouldn't follow a bad order given by a bad judge. Now, one of the wackiest parts of this interview is that the final 5-ish minutes were all about Trump continuing to argue that Canada should become the 51st state of the United States, continuing just the pointless belligerence. This is not a worthwhile conversation to have at all. But for the president of the United States to be so regularly focused on and obsessed with, what about Canada becoming part of the United States? Laura Ingraham pointed out, and good for her, Laura Ingraham accurately pointed out, Trump is being tougher on Canada than he is on some of our actual adversaries. And Trump goes, well, they should really be a 51st state.
You're tougher with Canada than you are with some of our biggest adversaries.
Only because it's meant to be our 51st state. And
okay, but
but listen to this for a second.
We need their territory. They have territorial advantage. We're not going to let them get close to China.
Look,
right?
I deal with every country, indirectly or directly. One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada.
They are a nasty, nasty country.
The people that, now this was Trudeau, the people that good old Justin, I call him Governor Trudeau, his people were nasty. And they weren't telling the truth. They never told the truth. You know that.
What a nasty, nasty country. What a nasty, nasty person. Think about how upside down the world order is. That Trump is sitting around for an hour while Putin keeps him on hold. And meanwhile, Trump is attacking Canada, tariffing Canada, endangering our relationship with such a critical trading partner and geographically important country. It's all backwards. A lot of MAGAs love it. A lot of MAGAs want the sort of global order to be put upside down. But shaking things up for no reason, or shaking things up for really uninformed reasons, is not really virtuous. Now, Laura Ingraham did ask Trump about Chief Justice John Roberts' declaration that was clearly directed at Trump. Remember that Trump posted to Truth Central. Hold on, do I have my thing?
Truth Central. I did everything right and they indicted me. I love Tesla.
I love Tesla. Okay, Trump posted to Truth Central that the judge who ruled against him should be impeached. And then immediately, Chief Justice John Roberts puts out a statement saying, impeachment is not the process when you disagree with a judicial decision. An appeal is the right thing. Trump just plays dumb and goes, oh, my name wasn't mentioned in the statement.
Because we're gonna first hit the other big news of the day, which was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court issued what a rare statement about your suggestion on Truth that you posted earlier today that Judge James Boasberg should be impeached after he ordered those deportation flights to El Salvador halted, essentially turned around. The Chief Justice said it was more than two centuries. We understood that essentially impeachment was for very rare circumstances and not an appropriate response to rulings you disagree with. What's your reaction to the courts stepping in to make a statement here? They didn't make a statement when Joe Biden, decided to forgive all those student loans.
Well, he didn't mention my name in the statement. I just saw it quickly. He didn't mention my name, but many people have called for his impeachment, the impeachment of this judge. I don't know who the judge is, but he's radical left. He was Obama appointed.
Obama. He was Obama.
Obama.
This is the game, right? I mean, some Republicans have figured this out. You can criticize something Trump has done, but just don't mention his name. And I guess since John Roberts didn't mention Trump's name, Trump is now just kind of like, it doesn't really have anything to do with me. Laura Ingraham, another sort of interesting moment. Trump tries to play this game where he's big and tough and strong and a big boy, and that nobody defies him. But Laura Ingraham does point out China did cheat on Trump's 2019 deal. And this is how it went down.
We rebuilt our military. Canada doesn't pay for military. They don't give any. They give us nothing. And they are the worst people to negotiate with of everybody.
You got them with USMCA. You finally got them around the edge on that, though. You got
No, I got them there. And USMCA is good, but they cheat. An agreement's good, but they cheat. And Mexico cheats also.
But China cheated on your 2019.
Can I tell you what?
Phase one, they totally cheated and dropped it with Biden. You had a great deal.
When Biden took over, he didn't push them. I would call up once every 2 weeks saying you're not living up to the agreement, and they'd buy more corn, more this.
But they had ears of corn coming out of their ears when I would call. Remember that even things that Trump negotiated, when they go wrong, like now Trump is acknowledging USMCA isn't really working out the way we hoped. But it's not because the deal is bad, it's because not everybody's sticking to it. But of course, part of making a good deal is that it's a framework that others do stick to, and that it's enforceable, and that it has teeth. And Trump has gone from negotiating USMCA in his first term and telling us it's great, to now saying, oh, the fact that USMCA isn't really working is why we need the tariff. So which is it? Was USMCA the right thing or the wrong thing? And if it's not enforceable in a way that does require you ultimately to put in tariffs, then was it really that good of a deal to begin with? It's a mess. If your head is spinning, it's because this is a complete and total mess. Finally, Trump weighs in on the Tesla stuff. And he says that those protesting at Tesla showrooms are committing acts of domestic terrorism. Talk about protecting his friends, huh?
And he backed me, and he went, and he got very much involved. He thought, he actually would go around saying, if Trump doesn't win, our country is over.
But do you consider this an act of domestic terrorism?
I think so.
Why?
I think that if and when they catch the people, and I hope they do, the good thing is they have a lot of cameras in those places, and they've caught some already having to do with that. I think that you will find out that they're paid by people that are very highly political on the left.
Meanwhile, it's because of...
Now, of course, Trump makes that without any evidence, the allegation that the protesters against Tesla are being paid. I can assure you, everyone I know who has dumped their Tesla, not only are they not being paid, they're losing money, but they just want nothing to do with the brand whatsoever. So a disastrous interview meant to be a softball ended up being very much the opposite. And Trump comes away thinking that this interview is great. MAGA sees it and goes, oh, what a strong guy. He doesn't take any crap from Laura Ingraham. A different approach when Elon Musk was interviewed on Fox News last night. Let's talk about that one. Support our show by checking out our sponsor, Brain FM Focus Music. They're giving you free access to their app for a whole month at brain.fm/Pacman. Once you try Brain FM, you'll quickly understand why this has become my go-to music app. When I just want to focus on work, in addition to music for focusing on work, they have modes specially designed for sleep, relaxation, meditation, all created by musicians working with neuroscientists. A peer-reviewed study showed that Brain FM's music boosts attention, especially for people with ADHD tendencies. Brain FM's focus music is the only music made to support ADHD brains. Brain FM is the only music app funded by the National Science Foundation because of their unique audio technology that changes the patterns in your brain. Brain FM has been an amazing tool when I just want to focus on work. In the past, I've tried Spotify or YouTube. I end up distracted or can't find exactly what would be most useful for me. So at a certain point, I figured silence must be the solution until I discovered this. Brain FM is personalized depending on your brain type. So if you want to improve your focus or relax, give Brain FM a try for 30 days totally free. Go to brain.fm/Pacman. The link is in the description.